The Superpower Equation is at the heart of the Global Game Changers curriculum. It's a statement that simply and powerfully proclaims each student's talent and how they plan to use it for good in the world, in the simple form of an equation. Creating these equations helps students to develop self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-value. And once you and your students complete the equations, they can move on to the next phase and put the equations into action through service. It's the service part of the process that brings out important leadership skills like responsibility, planning, and communication. As you consider how to help your students put together their equations, make sure that you remember that Ignite Good is a super important part of the Superpower Equation. Sometimes students put together equations that don't quite put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Let's look at some examples of equations that don't ignite good, and then we'll turn them around in a way that does. Let's say a student's talent is dancing, and their heart badge is elderly. They might translate this into dancing like an old person, which seems like it's making fun of elderly people. That's not igniting good. But here's how we can change it. Dancing plus elderly equals hosting a dance or dance class at a retirement home. This does ignite good because it helps elderly people socialize and get physically active. Make sense? Let's try another one. Drawing plus animals equals drawing pictures of animals. This gets partially there, but not quite all the way. Something to prompt your students to get on the right track would be, how does drawing animals help? What could be added? Here's how that equation might be changed. Drawing plus animals equals drawing pictures of animals that need to be adopted and posting them around town. This version takes that same partial equation and adds substance so that it ignites good. As you consider creating superpower equations, you can also encourage students to consider the 3 types of service: direct service, raising awareness, and fundraising. Direct service is work directly for a cause. Raising awareness means teaching or telling someone about a cause to encourage them to act in support of the cause. Fundraising means raising money to support a cause. You can combine almost any talent with a heart badge to do all 3. Let's look at how you can address direct service, raising awareness, or fundraising with a talent for photography and a heart badge for animals. For direct service, a student could brighten up an animal shelter with some photos. For raising awareness, they might take pictures of endangered animals and provide information about them at a school fair. For fundraising, they could charge money to take pictures of families with their pets and then donate that money to a local animal shelter. Encourage your students to think of the superpower equations that they are most interested in implementing. As a learning opportunity, we also encourage students starting in 2nd grade to create a superpower equation that benefits someone other than a close family member or friend. This not only encourages them to build empathy for different people, but it also will help them test out their communication skills with people they are less familiar with. That said, a student may have an idea and a passion inspired by their family. For instance, we heard about one student who delivered baked goods to residents at a senior living community where her mother worked, and another who sang songs at a foster care organization that had found loving homes for some members of her family. The lessons included in this unit are fun, project-based explorations of the Superpower Equation unit that will help your students better understand how they can develop their unique superpowers. Once you arrive at the Superpower Equation lesson, your students should know its most important components and be ready to develop their superpowers. They'll understand what Ignite Good means and have practice doing it both through the lessons and through routine use of the Ignite Good jar. They'll have explored different causes their heart might care about. They'll have thought about the universe of talents and spent time contemplating their own talents. In addition, they'll have seen many examples of superpower equations, including those in the unit-level service projects and those profiled in the Heartbeat magazines that are part of each Heart Badge unit introduction lesson. As you implement the Superpower Equation unit, always remember to continue the routine, beginning class by reciting the GGC pledge, selecting or checking in on the Ignite Good mission, and reviewing the Superpower Equation. Then as you get into the unit, ask your students some simple questions. What is your talent? What is your heart badge? How could you use your talent to help your heart badge? Teacher tip, this could be a great opportunity to pull out those lists of student talents you've been working on throughout the year to get the ideas flowing. In addition to teaching the lessons in the Superpower Equation unit, some teachers have found that it helps to meet with students individually to help them create their own Superpower Equation. This can allow you an opportunity to help a student who is struggling to put their equation together and to make sure that they are thinking about the 3 types of service and how their equation ignites good. There's a list of suggestions for these one-on-one talks that we'll link near the video. As you're inviting students to put together their superpower equations, we also encourage you to consider how you're going to transform those equations into action in the next phase of the curriculum. The beauty of the superpower equation is that we don't have to just have one. Just like Superman, who can fly and has X-ray vision, we too can have multiple superpowers. But not every superpower equation can be facilitated at school. Instead of taking a negative attitude toward difficult talents, consider how you can be solutions-oriented. What is blocking the superpower equation from happening? Is it your preconceived notions, or is it a true lack of resources? Be careful of your preconceived notions. Let me tell you about Briasia, who decided that her talent was making slime. Her teacher was skeptical when this came up, especially since it took Briasia some time to identify how she could use slime to ignite good. Eventually, together, they settled on teaching elders to make slime, since Briasia had a special relationship with elders who would visit her classroom as part of a community program. Her teachers still worried that this superpower equation was just an excuse to make a mess and play with slime during class. But the further Briasia got into her project, the more dedicated she became. She not only became more proficient at making slime, she learned how to teach other people to do it effectively. When the time came to deliver her project, Briasia's teacher saw the joy on the faces of everyone involved. She saw Briasia come out of her shell and grow up, showing a self-confidence she'd never hinted at before, just because of her big accomplishment. It changed the tone of the rest of her year. If Briasia's teacher had initially shut down this idea because slime seemed frivolous and messy, or because she was worried Briasia wasn't taking the assignment seriously, she might never have experienced such incredible growth while helping others along the way. That being said, there are some things you just can't accomplish, but you should still hold a solution-oriented mindset. Let's say a student wants to swim and you don't have access to a pool. Invite them to consider making a video where they demonstrate a swimming stroke on land. Maybe they want to code a video game but don't have the skills. Encourage them to turn their video game into a board game. Be careful to make sure that students choose a talent that they have done before, not an aspirational talent. They don't have to be exceptional at it, but they do have to be comfortable doing it. Otherwise, their project won't meet anyone's expectations, yours, or more importantly, theirs. Finally, it's important for superpower equations to be unique and special to their owner. That doesn't mean that students can't have the same superpower equations. It does mean that 2 students shouldn't choose the same one just because they're best friends. Stress that we need each of our unique talents, hearts, and superpowers. One superpower can change part of the world, but it takes all of our talents and all of our hearts to make the whole world a better place. Helping your students create their superpower equations will give them tools for success not only in philanthropy, but also as they consider and pursue careers. A student who discovers a talent for art may come to understand art as a marketable skill in graphic design. A student who finds a passion for environment may extend that into a career as an engineer that develops clean fuel alternatives. As your students discover their superpowers and feel motivated to put them into action, they set themselves on a trajectory for enhanced success, compassion, and engagement.